tumble where a bunch of longtime friends and internet nerds transcend geography through the power of Discord to play Dungeons and Dragons, and critically fumble a lot. We may be usually transcending geography, but one thing that we cannot transcend are internet issues and family holidays over the Christmas period, which is why we are a couple of players short today. Noms is off visiting family, but it is his birthday, so happy birthday, Noms.
Happy birthday.
For when/if you watch this, we kind of wish we had been there to. We'd had you here to celebrate, but we know so do you, so that's okay. Harry, meanwhile, is having some internet issues, which means that he only has mobile until January, and we're not going to make him try to do this on mobile because it would be expensive as fuck. Plus, we have some things to sort out, and Rizwin is entirely likely to want to hide with Molly during some of it. Anyway, previously, the Cupcake Coterie is heading to the Elven Wild via Sun Tree out in Cedar Grove to try to raise an army to help them boot the Crownsguard forces out of Goldendale, or at the very least distract them so that maybe they can get a clear shot at Black Crown and the black dragon that runs the place and thus the country, without having to fight their way through an army at the same time. Unfortunately, some problems arose. The first one was moderately simple. An ice drake ate their horse. They dispatched it quite quickly, but they were left with a wagon, a time frame, and no horse. Thus, they went to the nearest homestead to see if they could bargain themselves a new mount. They got there. Sorry, if you're gonna shift around, can you mute, please? Because it's kind of loud.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was.
No, you really weren't. The actual getting of the horse went fine. It involved some various bits of fun with sending stones and the home key. And yeet may or may not have been invoked, which confused a terrible lot of kids at Hearthhome. But you know, it's Hazel. But they arranged for in the morning. The half Eladrin girl Molly to be shipped off to Egref to apprentice her and her little clockwork creations. And then there was the issue. I can't even go into the issue for an awful lot of reasons. Not all of them are in character. But it resulted in somewhat of a fracture of the party. One of their members, who they took great pains to bring back from the dead, thinking of leaving, and various people pissed off. If I recall correctly, Hazel and Nye decided to join the outside people, whereas Briswin just said, I'm gonna go help Molly hack up some of her things. I had some very interesting ideas with some of her clockwork gadgets. just stealth on the run. Just gone. Remy has parked herself in a chair, radiating "Don't talk to me." Let's face it, that's Remy's default state half the time. But Hazel and Nye have apparently gone outside. Front door, back door?
Front for me.
Okay. It started to snow.
So, Hazel and I both out front.
Yep. You saw them walk out the front door.
Okay. I am going to wait a few moments. Look at Remy. Glance to the back door. stand up, look toward the ceiling. Bahamut, give me patience, and I'm going to walk out the front door and look for Nye.
How far has Nye gone? Basically, it's one of those farmhouses where you've got sort of a front porch and a little walk up to the road. You covered front porch, so you can watch you can watch in the shade or be out of the rain or snow or whatever. And then there's just what would probably be lawn, but now there's snow, and then there's the road. So how far did he
Maybe,
go?
maybe about 10, 15 feet off the front porch,
Okay.
sort of looking, not up, not sort of just out over the horizon.
Okay.
Okay. So I will walk up to Nye and just, Nye, we gotta talk. Let's away from the house a bit, a ways, and I'll walk off about 500 feet.
Going with.
Okay.
Where's Hazel during all of this? Because she went up.
I'm just. I've made sort of a beeline, a track out into the snow, and then sort of starting to wrap back around, making a pathway.
Pathway to where?
You're just sort of
As
making
in, like a pathway through the snow, like a track,
Oh,
basically.
you're just making like a circuit.
Basically. And once I get back from that circuit, I'm going to veer and just start going entirely around the house.
Okay, we'll get to that. Nye, Darvin.
Okay. Getting about 500 feet, I turn to Nye, very not pleased look on the face. What are you? Don't answer that. Just think. Are you the delicate, wilting flower that freaks out over the mere memory of something that happened because we were rescuing family? Or are you the badass, eldritch warlock that faced down a goddamn Dracolich? This freaking out stops. Your family, Alice, is family, and you don't drive away family. On top of that, we need you and we need her. This crap we're dealing with is bigger than all of us put together, which is the whole reason we're even out here in the first place, trying to get help. You're so eager to get home. This sludge, filth, blackness, whatever, threatens not just this plane, but all of reality. All that is, all that ever will be, and more than likely all that ever was. So that home thousands of years ago, gone. You freaking out like this is unfair to Alice, it's unfair to us, it's unfair to reality, it's unfair to you. You helped bring her back
Oh.
from.
You froze right in the middle of that.
Damn it.
He's unfrozen.
Yep.
Yep. It's unfair to
Got it.
Alice, unfair to us, unfair to reality, and
Unfair to you. You helped bring Alice back from the dead. Driving her away now flies in the face of everything you sacrificed in doing so. It does so to all that we've lost already and what we may lose in future. It puts literally everything at risk, and I can't let it continue without saying something. In other words, fortify up, cope. The rest of us are, damn it. And if you can't, well. At which point, Darvin turns his back, holds his hand out like he's turning a doorknob, and dimension doors 500 feet back to the house.
so you guys basically you watch Darvin and Nye leave like through a window, and all of a sudden, poof, Darvin is back in the front hallway, and you're both pretty perceptive people, Veroseth and Ava. You'll notice that there is something of a glow on his right hand where his Aura of Life tattoo is. And the light of it, I mean, he's wearing some fairly heavy sleeves, but it still start to spread up his arm, up around about the shoulder, and spreading a little bit up the neck and towards the center of his chest. And you just feel somewhere in the middle of that justice fury, a warmth.
You alright, Darwin?
You're glowing, literally.
Yeah, didn't
Do
I
I
say
Do wait.
it?
Okay,
Just
I
stop.
was pissed. Now I'm really confused, though I don't feel bad. Like nothing hurts, and I'm warm. I thought I was warm because of the house, but now I'm not sure.
Froseth being the really observant one, he'll notice that the little patch you can just see just above his collar, because it's a fairly high collar, but it spreads just a little bit above that. There's kind of a scale effect to it, you think. There's too much sleeve. The glow dies, but that look of faint tattooed scales just above the collar.
Froseth
Oh,
will
see that
get
look
up.
on his face?
Not like
Yeah,
the normal.
on the hand looks the same, but everything else is heavy sleeve.
Froseth will go over Darvin, not really talking, and just kind of like put a finger out and put the collar down a bit to get a clearer look.
Yeah, no, it's very stylized, and there's a pattern below the scale portion that's more. It's the kind of thing that Farida would have described when she was talking about the Temple of Bahamut back home. And given that you heard him ask Bahamut for patience,
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Looks like got the some further attention from Bahamut there, Darvin.
Ugh.
Do I see this lady?
yeah. Well, now that he's pulling the sleeve out, and yeah, it seems to spread sort of down the shoulder and further in towards the chest. It's like it's gone from a hand and wrist thing to a full sleeve, but you can't see all of it because he's still wearing a shirt and probably a coat.
Well,
It's cold
that,
outside.
That's
that
new.
that wasn't exactly the intent, but okay. I mean, we got to get a move on. Basically, okay. I'm gonna go sit down now.
Hazel. Well, you've heard some of that because Darwin was not lowering his voice, and you've been
And
put
and
around the
Bard
house.
Bard singing oomph.
Projection, dear,
That's the word. Thank you.
from the diaphragm.
Oh Christ!
You've been plowing your little half elf width path around the house, and get to the back where you seem to recall Alice vanished off to. Not currently there.
Looking around, looking around.
There seems to be a now slightly soggy piece of paper stuck in one of the bits of the fence. I've shown you this, so
Trundle, 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 scooping up the paper.
yeah, it's that note.
Flail, flail, flail. I'm just gonna beeline back around to the front of the house, continuing to plow a track, probably with a little more speed this time.
Yeah, you guys. Well, while Darvin's trying to think of something to take his mind off this until he can really think about it, and see his kind of snow flying. And then front door barges open, with Nye probably still standing like 500 feet away because I don't think he's had the time to move yet. And in barges Hazel. Remy
Processing where
looks-
Remy is, beelining over
Still in
and
her
just
chair.
holding out note.
What's
takes
that?
it, reads it. Casts her eyes across the rest of you. Apparently not seeing who she wants to glare at. stands up, tosses the note to Darvin, and then walks out the back door.
Wait, Remy! What?
Leave it be! Slam.
I need to run a few more circles now. Back outdoor and zoom, flying snow.
Will someone please explain what's going on? You're doing the face again, Darwin. What's wrong?
And I'll fold the.
Grabbing it from
Actually,
behind.
I'm not going to fold it because it's wet. I just realized.
It's a little damp, really.
Right.
Thankfully, it's not running too much. And Ava is attempting to grab it. We're going to have to make contested dex checks for this one.
Oh, dear. Okay.
Dex, you said?
Yes.
8. Yeah, you got it.
Okay, I'm actually now gonna have to dig up the actual text, or if anybody else happens to have it immediately to hand, they could just read it.
Let me
It'd
see.
save me some time.
Well, I can't get to it because I've got the. I'm recording, so.
Yeah, and so am I. So, crap.
Currently digging.
All right, fine. I'm just going to have to read the damnable thing. To the Cupcake Coterie. I am bad at this. Supremely, unbelievably bad at this. Most of my upbringing and socialization didn't exactly come from the most conventionally civilized of people, so my version of affection is kind of rough and tumble, a little brusque, and less about what I say as it is about how and why I say it. A lot of you figured that out and worked with it, and I love you for it. You know, for varying definitions of that weird-ass word. This, though, okay, I'm gonna say it. I'm not angry on my own behalf. I'm hurt on my own behalf, yeah. I know I'm intimidating. I grew up intimidating. It was a way to stay alive, whether in the frozen wastes the people call home or in Belarus back alleys. I don't know, maybe it's just that I can't take the idea of having someone who gave up so much to bring me back from the dead, wanting to throw up every time I cook him bacon because of a cross connection, and the time I heated someone's armor with that someone still wearing it. If that's what reaction he has to me now, even if it's only because of a smell and a mental cross connection, let's just say that what memory he could have had of the lost home he laments so much that he took that lament as his name seems like too high a price to pay for a life lived doing things that disgust him. How do you look someone in the face after that? So yeah, after the things we've been through together and everything else, I'm a little hurt that someone can even just mention me in the same breath as anything that even remotely sounds like bacon, and you heave your guts. That's your association of me now, after all the breakfasts we've shared. I am a protector. It's what I do. And now it feels like what I have to protect you from is, well, me. Yeah, it hurts. If I'm angry at all, it's on behalf of others. Yeah, heating someone's armor while they're wearing it is cruel, but that man was part of the force that, among other things, locked a very sick little girl in absolute darkness for 3 fucking days. Hell's take it nigh, yeah, it was a nasty way to go, but you of all people should have seen that as just desserts given your own history. And as to that particular smell, think about Ava for a second. Her whole house burned. That smell probably has some associations for her that you never even considered. If she looked at me differently because of what I did, then I'd feel the guilt I'm feeling now was deserved. If all I'm dealing with is your sensitive stomach and even more sensitive sensibilities, fuck that, and honestly, fuck you for not thinking of anyone but yourself. Because that's the other situation, isn't it? I heard some of the yelling. Yeah, you lost your home, but at this point, who among us hasn't? Froseth, Darvin, Ava. Their homes are gone, and they're never coming back. Hazel and Rizwin came close to losing everything, and might still if this trip to the Elvenwild doesn't go well. Almost everyone in this group has faced the worst thing that could happen to them. We're all traumatized in our own ways. We all cope with it in our own ways. But damn it, we cope with it. Hazel, who lived her early childhood unloved, loves everyone she meets. Furseth thought he was abandoned and unwanted, and now he slowly lets himself learn how precious his life is to the people, living or dead, who love him. Darvin, whose entire life got ripped apart, learns from every bad thing that ever happens to him, even, hell especially, when it's his mistake that caused the bad. Ava, haunted by the fight she didn't win and the family she couldn't save, finds her strength every day. Remy's been through more shit than she can even describe, and she just wades back in with every blessing she can get to fight off an evil that can only be described as ultimate. They fall down, but they stand back up. They ask their friends to support them, not carry them. They learn, they grow, they fight. You don't. For someone who is, by his own admission, called to mischief and chaos, you spend a lot of time meebling in a corner somewhere. And you never think about what they've suffered, what they've worked to overcome, because you're too busy wallowing in your own pain. And when you helped buy my life, you bought yourself more pain to wallow in. I have to live with that. So, back to the group at large. The people are big on owning your own emotional reactions and acting accordingly. If I have a problem with how Manai's bullshit makes me feel, I have no control over his bullshit, so the solution's down to me. So if I can't live with what he paid for my life, when all that bargain got him is more pain to wallow in, and a barbarian who occasionally sings and does things he considers grotesque enough to literally turn his stomach, I don't have to stick around to have it swung at my head for no reason when I least expect it. My only issue with this, my only real regret, is leaving the first people who accepted me for who and what I am all the way through. Not valuing me just because I'm pretty, or good with an axe, or small and dexterous enough to rob a house through the dumbwaiter. Just caring about me. It feels like I'm abandoning you, and given everything you went through for me, it's a horrible thing to do. And at the end of the day, I'm still second-guessing this. Thing is, actions have consequences. Most of you have learned that. Nye, for your sake and for theirs, internalize that fact before you do more than just lose an Azamar who makes you vomit. I'm out making sure there aren't any more ice strikes. The Cathay family doesn't deserve to get eaten while riding out to the next farm or for eggs or whatever. If I'm not back by morning, I'm not coming. It's just loud and complicated, and I'm tired of getting hurt, and I really don't want to be the source of more fights in the group when you guys need to be a united front. The benefits I bring aren't worth it if this bullshit has you all yelling at each other. It's not signed, but it's pretty obvious who it's from. So that's what Ava has read. And Froseth is watching her read with that expression on her face, apparently.
Show me the calendar and just hand it over. What do we do? We can't just leave it like this.
Well, it's entirely possible that Hazel and Darvin know Remy, and Froseth know Remy well enough to know that
I couldn't find her. You're muted.
Sorry, everyone froze on my end for a moment there.
no, Ava is going, I can find her. But
Do you think she'd want that?
Let Remy talk. Let Remy look and hopefully find her. If she wants to be found, she'll be found.
He looks so mad. She looks so mad, though. Do you think maybe he tried and it didn't sort of work the way he hoped? I don't know.
I'm gonna need a minute, and I'm gonna go out the back door this time and just walk. Get a good, just distance. And like I'm just words are just not and just at the risk of going a little out of character, it's basically flames, flames, flames up the sides of my face.
yeah, I honestly don't think that's out of character.
Okay, good, because that's exactly what he's feeling right now.
I can see Darvin just trying to verbalize, and that's all he gets. So, carrying over the fields, you have this rather melodic
flames, flames of the sides of my face. And I just get a good solid distance and just scream. Just let all of it out with every bit of projection I can get and just ah!
Do we hear
Yeah.
that?
Oh yeah.
I think the hearts back at Hearth home heard that.
It's
Captain
all
Loud
let's
from
put
the
it this way.
diaphragm
If
up
I
in
put
here.
any more oomph in it, it would have been shatter. Okay? 60 feet up. Okay.
You are ridiculous.
Yes, I am. And after that I will slowly shuffle back, exhausted but calmer.
You probably see the track and continual
Yeah, Hazel's running
snow
circles around the house.
displacements.
Yeah, Hazel's running circles around the house.
You know, I'm just going to watch for a little while. Cuz it's calming.
Meantime, you have one human, one Eldrin, one. Well, no, the half Eldrin is poking her head out of the shed, and Risbin's pulling her back and going, "No, I think this is a personal matter. I think we probably should just stay out of this. I'll ask about it later. Thank you very much. Now, if you could just show me this bit." Yeah, but the parents have poked their head out separate doors, going, "Excuse me, there's an awful lot of loud."
Sorry about that. We're just having a little communication problem. I think we call it. We're working on it. Sorry if we're disturbing.
No, that's entirely fine. I'm not making anything that is easily destroyed by loud noises and free floating angst. I'll be back in the kitchen. Dinner's in about an hour, by the way.
Thank you. So who's left? Pretty much.
Froseth.
Oh god, it's just oh god, it's the ranger and the punchman.
Silent punchman.
Which makes it worse.
Makes it funnier. Yes, it does.
So, hey, out of curiosity, how fast is Hazel actually going?
Give
Like-
me an athletics check.
Yeah, because I did used to do this at the monastery, just not in as much, probably not in as much snow.
Or armor?
No,
No, in armor.
Oh, right. Okay.
armor and full
Just
pack.
wear it out.
Fair. Oh, damn.
Yeah, she's making time.
Okay, in that case, I'm not going to do what I was thinking about doing. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to step in front of Hazel and just be like,
Okay, so all of a sudden you're and then as you come around to the back of the house, you're being hugged.
yep.
Thankfully, the house is
I-
long enough that you can see that he's coming. If you choose to slow down at least a little bit so that you don't knock him over, or you could just knock him into one of your snowbanks.
Aim for the snowbank! Go!
Sure, why not?
I was gonna ask you to make a strength save, but if you want to go ass over tit into the snowbank, then by all means.
Why not? Let's
and all
go.
of a sudden, woof. Hazel does angle you towards the soft, displaced snow, so all of a sudden it's snow and hair and...
Well, that wasn't the intent, but that'll work.
Oh good, you're alive.
So this is a hell of a thing.
Yep.
I suppose we should probably go back inside,
Probably.
because it's just, as far as I'm aware, Ava and Rosa in there right now.
And
The
neither of
sensible
them
one.
are particularly good at conversation.
Froseth is. Froseth actually listens.
Or given value of conversation.
There's more to conversation than speaking. I'm finally starting to get that idea. It only took months.
They
I
don't
think
put
that is more
sort of
accurate
being a
than your
buddy.
years.
Well, yeah.
Also required how long of turning into a rabbit?
I don't know. The world seemed to make a lot more sense as a bunny. Anyway.
Come on,
Yeah, let's go.
Buzzball in the house.
Yeah, these
How-
two
what-
turn up a few minutes later, covered in snow.
Oh, wait. I wonder...
I'm gonna try and brush him off.
Wait, no. Hang on. Let me try something. Prestidigitation to see if this works.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
yeah. After some prestidigitation, you are free of snow and not standing in a puddle on the cafe's clean floor.
Exactly what I was trying to avoid. Excellent.
Shuffle a bit backwards so that I'm out of range of getting snow in the house, and proceed to shake like crazy.
Prestidigitation, the doorway where I'm sure some of the snow ended up falling anyway. No, I mean this one.
And she's still a little bit soggy, but
Get you two. Come here. Going to make
Cling,
it better. Going to make
No,
it
that's mending.
right. Gling, gling,
Prestidigitation is
gling,
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 gling.
gling, 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 gling.
So
Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle.
newly free of snow and dried off, rejoin Froseth and Ava in the sitting room, sitting there in their own quiet, kind of okay, now what kind of ways.
So that was the thing.
Yeah, sorry about that, you two. Huh. Anyway. I think all we can do at this point is wait, let Remy do whatever Remy can or is going to do, and let Alice make her decision. I know what I would prefer she do, but
We all know that, but I mean, we can't just let her leave. Not like this.
we may not have a choice.
We're adventurers. We roll with it.
We're gonna have to.
Is Nai still standing outside? Because there's been like yelling and flump and.
Now, if anyone had looked into the front yard, there would have been suspiciously flat-looking extra snowbank, which looked like the results of a silent image. That would have disappeared about the time the stream went up.
Oh. You said where the scream went up. I thought you said stream went up. I was like, huh? Gotcha.
No, about the time the scream happened, the fake snowbank disappeared, along with its caster.
Okay. So, distinct absence of Nai if anybody looks out the front window.
I mean, we don't know where he is, so I'm gonna sort of try and see if I can see.
Perception check. If you're doing it from inside, it's going to be a little bit higher.
Well, I'd probably peek outside the doors. He went out.
Okay.
11.
Well, it's snowing. And unless he's misty stepped a certain distance, which theoretically he can do, but even then it's only 50 odd feet, there are still footprints. So you know what general direction he took. What general direction did he take?
Towards the barn for now, where the cart is.
Okay. So apparently in a barnward direction. Where probably most of your luggage is.
I'll be right back. And I follow the tracks.
Okay.
And where
Well, if you look out the window, you see her heading in the direction of the barn, following elf-shaped tracks.
Oh, that's where he went. Okay.
So, okay, Ava has followed Nye to the barn.
Well, I'm not trying to be sort of trying to keep sort of discreet because I have a
Okay.
suspicion of what he's doing and just want to make sure before I sort of...
Okay, what's he doing?
Barn closed. Footprints up to the door.
So you're just outside the... You're not
No,
going
he's
in?
just
Apparently has gone inside.
Oh, okay. Um... Yeah, I'm gonna creep a bit closer.
Unfortunately, barns, generally speaking, don't have windows, but if you make me another perception check for listening.
11 again.
Mm, there's horses, so... And he has those boots.
Pete, why is the door open?
Closed. He said closed.
Alright, sorry. um... I'm just gonna pull it open.
Okay.
Probably a
door?
bunch of horses look at you in unison, but no elf.
Sorry about that. Just scanning
Okay,
the
how exactly?
Misty stepped up to the roof.
Okay, you're back outside. Perception again.
12.
Well, you're not an unintelligent person, given that the tracks have stopped, and there's none around the place. You do look up, and against white, he's not hard to spot.
Having fun up there?
I think I remember I used to spend a lot of time up in trees.
Does that
If
look
it's-
like a tree?
It's made of wood, it's close. If it's the choice between her or me, take her. I'm pretty much useless.
Yes.
She's been far more useful than I've ever been.
It's not what this is about.
Ask
Mama
Darvin.
said, your family...
Ask Darvin if you can get him to stop screaming.
What are you talking about?
You heard that scream. Everybody heard that scream. Everyone's fed up with me. I'm fed up with me. And I just wish everyone would understand I can't control. It's like I said, oh, let's make Alice feel guilty. Let's it just happens. I can't
We all
control
know
it.
you didn't do it out of malice. You want to talk about fed up with oneself? Trust me, I know the feeling. I know what it's like to feel useless in battle and in important moments when people count on you and you're not rising up to the plate. You don't just crumple and do nothing. You keep trying. That's how you move forward. Not standing still. And the only way forward is be better. We make mistakes. That's part of being alive, part of being human, elf, just being a creature, person. We're going to make
The
mistakes.
term Pillars of Eternity uses I quite like is kith. May as well borrow it. I've always found sentient beings to be a bit awkward. Kith. Kith.
We make mistakes. We do our best to not do them again and move on. I froze in the middle of a fight. How's that for blundering?
I did that too. I've done that more than once.
And yet you still face down an undead Dracolich.
I was sure I was going to die. I just regretted getting everyone else killed along with me. Okay, if you're trying to talk me down, you've succeeded. There's only one problem.
What?
I can't get down.
Oh my god.
I used my last spell slot getting up here.
Oh my god. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can find a ladder.
Now we roll the hand of fate.
Or something.
Nope.
Ah. Damn it.
Wait, I have an idea.
Do not jump.
No, I'm not going to jump, but please don't freak out.
What are you gonna do?
I can do this thing where when I take damage, I can teleport.
No. Okay. Ruling? DM ruling, no. You cannot just smack yourself or ask someone to hit you to teleport. For just... in an emergency. This isn't an emergency. It is be embarrassed because somebody has to go and ask for a ladder for you, not get yourself stabbed. For fuck's sake, moderation!
Do not move. I'll be back. And then charge back to that.
Okay, enter Ava. Hopefully kicking the snow off her boots.
Yeah.
Because she was raised in a proper noble household.
Exactly. Darwin, you're gonna hate me, but do you have a dimension door left?
Nope.
Is that a lie or is that true?
You just
I mean,
you just get a glare.
You're perfectly happy to roll insight, but he's not trying to deceive you worth shit. So
just double checking.
no, he said on a couple of he said on a couple of occasions that you can only do it once.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a great trick, but I can only do it once.
Right, I forgot. Seems our half-elf friend has got
No, full elf.
Full elf.
He's the full elf. Because Hazel's looking up at the half elf like, what? What did I do this time?
Has gotten himself stuck on the roof of the barn.
At least we know where he's sleeping.
Oh my!
Oh wow.
Okay, see, if Nye heard that, he would jump and head out for parts unknown.
It was good. It's giving him a
God.
Come on, it's freezing.
I was mostly kidding.
Anyone else have anything that might be useful?
They make these things called ladders. We might ask to borrow one. I'm just saying.
Well, I was hoping there'd be one in the barn, there wasn't, so I'll go and find,
Well, Melissa's in the kitchen. So at least you know where she is. Looks up from there are things roasting, and things are marginally settled, I should hope.
Underway, we'll say. Terribly sorry. Would you happen to have a ladder to hand somewhere?
I believe there might be one propped up against Molly's shed. Why do you need one?
Mike got himself stuck on the roof.
I love the genteel way you're trying to express that.
The elf is a cat. The elf is a fucking cat.
No, you see, the last time Molly did something like that, we just threw up a blanket. And yes, it was this time of year. She never got to kiss off caught on the roof again. And it was a good blanket. So.
Yes, but he's not used to this climate.
I'm sorry. What exact point? Why does that matter exactly? I told you where the ladder is. I've just explained what I would be doing in this situation. Somebody is.
Right.
If somebody is that desperate for adventure, a better view, a sulk, there's been a few different reasons that Molly's ended up on various roofs. We don't mind rescuing her when it's when she just wanted a better view, or she wanted to see if the roof would hold her weight. But the one time we did leave her up there was because we had to close down her little smelting thing for safety reasons, and she had herself a bit of a sulk, so we left her up there until she was done sulking.
Well,
Now you know where the ladder is. In
yeah.
any case.
Thank you. I'll leave you to your work. Sounds wonderful, by the way.
Thank you.
Was any of that audible to us in the other room?
Oh yeah, I mean the kitchen's not that far away.
Okay. In that case, I like her. I like her a lot.
Because keep in mind, she's been hearing all of this.
Is it a big heavy ladder?
Fairly. And you're at -1 strength, so you head out. You get a look at this ladder, and you're like, leverage is going to be a problem.
Peek in the door.
Rizwin and Molly are. They look up.
I hate to impose, but could you please give me a hand with this ladder?
Why are we? I'm sorry, but they're screaming, and I'm really trying to stay out of this.
It's
I'm
communication problems, I guess.
yes, that's sort of the problem. I have my own ways of communicating, and they don't always come off particularly well. And all I know is that there's a terrible lot of screaming, and Molly's like, couldn't you? I mean, there's other people. I'm trying to show her a thing.
Would her struggling have been visible from where I am at all, or?
Now we roll the hand of fate. Yes, you are perceptive. You have been keeping an eye on this because everyone is made of stupid today.
Yeah, Froseth will get up, head over to help carry the ladder.
Okay,
Without really saying anything. As usual.
so Froseth and Ava haul ladder. And Rizwin is just sort of really sorry. I'm still trying to get used to you, and I don't really want this to be my first impression. Meep. So yes, ladder happens.
Descent happens.
Okay. So Nye is now down from the roof. Froseth, as far as I can tell, is still saying nothing.
Not yet.
Because he excels at this kind of thing. The saying nothing is a great skill he has.
And now you can help me put this bladder back in where I took it. Where we took it.
Yeah, the two of you together can probably manage if you take decent ends. Froseth was a good choice because he's got some fairly good strength, but clearly Nye has been asked to do this for is taking some responsibility for Ava having to ask around for ladders from people that she's never actually met before and try to explain that her friend and adventuring companion got himself stranded on a roof to a woman who knows that it's because he did wrong and is now sulking somewhere. So okay, ladder is leaned back up against the shed.
Well, I guess we go back inside.
Is everybody heading back inside?
Froseth will.
Trailing behind.
Okay, so these three come back in. Note, well, Nye will note distinct lack of Remy. And clearly that expression on Darvin's face.
Okay, so all 5 of us are in the same place now.
Yes. Yes, you are.
Finally.
Before anyone says anything, I do want to say something. At some point, when we're not in earshot of our hosts,
Yep.
Do you want us to step outside? Or...
Darvin, you're muted.
Muted.
Well, shall we step right back outside then?
At which point you have Melissa going, you may as well continue. I've been hearing all of this anyway, and I'm going to be dying to find out how it all ends.
I mean, this is soap opera for her at this point.
Wherever I'm sitting, I've fallen off it.
Pardon my forwardness, but I adore you.
Well, thank you very much, but I am happily married. Thank you.
Understood. Very lucky person.
Oh my god.
And from the study, damn right I am.
Continual cackling from where I've landed off of the chair.
Apparently it's soap opera for both of them.
And Darwin actually smiled at that whole exchange.
Anyway.
Oh, so Melissa's just yet. So no, really, honestly, by all means.
Froseth?
You were saying.
Oh, I don't. Part of it was I need to figure out how I'm going to say what I want to say.
Oh, that's fair.
Unfortunately, you don't always get that kind of time. So
Yes.
Yes, the tongue-tied bard knows that all too well.
I understand, putting it lightly, tensions between some of us are high at the moment. We need to work this shit out along the road. I am... If we're not working together in sync, that's just going to get all of us killed. It does nothing, no good for no one. Us working together, I've died twice already, and now I've got 2 girls back at Hearthhome who have sworn revenge if I die. That scares the shit out of me.
And Darvin's jaw is on the floor.
Just leading. He's clearly fascinated by the whole thing.
Like, this is more of like a free, like this is an utter freak out as far as Darwin is concerned, and his jaw's on the
First,
floor.
it kind of is.
Exactly. That's what.
Anyway.
Continue.
Anyway.
Like, that I I've never really had a fear of death, but the fact that that could lead to those two putting themselves in more danger than they need to be puts more fear in me than I have ever felt. And if we can't work together properly, I'm not going to risk it.
You're absolutely right. Yes, we do have things that we have to deal with, but and it's what I and like I said, or rather yelled at Nye. This is bigger than all of us. So yeah, we've got to figure out some way of making this work in some fashion. You're absolutely right, Seth. So we get Molly on her way tomorrow, and we continue on. That's all we can do at this point. Remy will hopefully talk with Alice. Hopefully she will be back. But if she is not, we have to accept that and continue on. You are absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. I'm not sorry for the things that were said because they needed to be said. But now that they've been said, you're right. We need to move on.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna give us a quick break early because there's something I want to say from an out of character perspective off camera. So we'll take a break early. We're back
Okay.
in probably closer to 10 minutes because this may take a minute. And then we will continue on with, quite frankly, stalling because that's part of why this is happening. So we'll see you in a few minutes. And we're back. We've had fantastic speeches, and you did actually get Alyssa just. I need to go and see to the roast of them. If there's going to be anything else particularly interesting, could you please project a little? Thank you. You're muted.
Damn it! I think I can manage.
Dinner will be on the table in about 20 minutes. How many am I putting out?
Um,
Mm,
I guess 5 for now. We don't know when Remy will be back.
Oh, there'll probably be some leftovers, so I'll bits for sandwiches.
Thank
And-
you.
back into the kitchen.
So, out of curiosity, Hazel, yes, I do understand you've not been there in, well, I assume you haven't been back since being dropped off, as it were. Uh, but do you have any idea what we could expect when we do get there? At all? No is an entirely valid answer, by the way.
At which point, Melissa's like, you could add where there is.
Oh. The, so, out of character, sorry, Dusky just got sick.
Elven. Yeah, oh dear.
The Elven Wilds.
Elven Wild. Singular.
Wild, sorry.
Yeah, nonverbal squawking noises.
Ah, the answer I was expecting. Okay, sorry, Hazel, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I tried to ask that as gently as I could.
From drifting from the study, I did actually explain a little bit about who you're going to have to deal with, which is probably why the squawking.
Point.
And he actually comes out and sits down, because I have a feeling that she's a little bit verbal at the moment, poor thing. The Elven Wild is going to be difficult. They're high elves. They consider wood elves to be barbarians. But at least it's better than those other kith. Some of them, the ones that move in the constellations of power, certainly, are, if you'll forgive me, racist assholes. Again, why do you think I'm here? I could have and did have, quite a place in their court. And then I met Melissa. She meant more to me than they ever will.
I don't wonder why. You two are wonderful people.
Thank you. But that's why I very seldom, if ever, go back. It will be difficult, but if you can speak as eloquently as I've heard you do, even if it was a little bit of a struggle, glancing at Furseth with a bit of an understanding smile, you may yet come out reasonably well, but expect a chillier reception than the winter outside.
Ooh. Thank you. I think. Forewarned is forearmed, but wow. Whew. Oh.
Would
I mean,
anyone had any encounters with the high elves with like her parents knowing any noble high?
She wouldn't have been at any of the dues where their ambassadors turned up, largely because they didn't want to expose a child who had maybe not finished their diplomatic training. But she would have given Ava, and the type of person she seems to be, I have a feeling she'd been one of those ones who hid on one of the balconies to watch all the fancily dressed people and maybe sneak and steal something nice from the buffet. As long as she wasn't seen. A couple of times she probably was and was back to bed by an understanding nursemaid who was kind enough to grab a couple of extra cakes before ushering Ava back to her room. But mostly she'd have just seen the interactions, and what she would have seen was mother and father putting on their I will not react whatever they say postures. And she knows what arrogance looks like, and she's never seen as much of it in one single body as she did with the delegation from the Elven Wild. Although this does actually mean she would have seen Hazel's mother, the usual person who turned up from the Elven Wild, a very beautiful high elf, hair red like fire, very. I mean, the eyes are sort of dark brown to reddish, but there's very much a luminescence to them, and always dressed absolutely exquisitely, always seemed to be deliberately trying to make everyone around her a little dowdy by comparison.
Yes. I mean, high elves tend to think, well, quite highly of themselves.
Well, I mean, they the ones on this continent certainly. I mean, they run the Elven Wild is their territory. They sort of marinade in their own self-perceptions. There will be some half-elves, but prepare yourself, they will then likely be servants, and possibly not overly well treated. Frankly, the more elven a half-elf can come across, the better their lot in life in the courts, but they'll never be above servant in the courts. And for you guys, that probably explains Hazel, who, despite the ears, has an awful lot of human in her.
And I'll just scooch closer to Hazel and just sort of arm around. Just.
Thanks.
We'll be with you. It'll be okay.
We just gotta like. We just gotta keep in mind what we're up against, and keeping in mind that there are things more important than just us.
Needs to be a way to punch her.
I would pay money to see that.
Not
Probably inadvisable seeing what we're looking for, though.
right. However, after all is said and done, all bets are off.
Yes, because the best way to handle or perhaps celebrate ending a war with Black Crown is to begin one with the Elven Wild when the Elven Wild army may or may not be in your territory.
Probably not very well.
Not a good idea, no. But I was giving Hazel
What can dream?
a nice image to contemplate over, and Hazel can dream.
And I looking faintly horrified at the same time.
Oh, punching. Right.
They're gonna hate all of us.
No, they won't. We are going to do wonderfully.
If we do, we're not going to make friends.
I'm not saying that you're going to do badly. In fact, you may do wonderfully. However, they are, at first sight, going to hate all of you. Just diplomatically.
True. It's a different
Well, we're not
flavor.
gonna make
It's a
them
different flavor of hate, I suppose. God, goodness knows they didn't. Mother didn't have a whole lot of love for a number of people that she had to deal with, but anyway.
And in all fairness, Darvin's mother would have had to deal with the same woman as Ava generally saw, because every dealing with the other kith goes through her. In Darvin's case, it was because of his father. Occasional sneering at the local tailoring. Looking at the linens that Cedar Grove has to offer, and saying, well, at least we can do something reasonable with this. Yeah.
Did I know that the woman was a Hazel? Or did I just sort of like...
Well, I don't know if anyone's mentioned publicly that the person that does all the that does all the negotiations is Hazel's mother. Darvin would stand a better chance of putting together everything because he's probably had a slightly closer look at the woman, and he's heard more of Hazel's backstory.
Well, yeah, and I don't think Hazel and I have talked about that personally.
Things have come up, and to be fair, Darvin is like, okay, she's a half elf, so she must have had dealings with humans, and if the Elven Wilds is insular as it seemed to have been, there's only been ever one person who's turned up, occasionally with escorts, and it's been, and then thinking about the face, and then looking at the face, and then just going, oh.
Yeah. Not to mention Hazel's continued reaction anytime she's brought up. It's like, I think that's why Darvin was so quick when Hazel was going. He's like,
But are you going to share that with the rest of them?
Hazel.
Hmm?
Do you want to clue in the complication?
Which complication?
You.
The one I was speaking to you about when you came to me asking how family works. About the only person you're going to be able to deal with when you arrive.
Yeah.
I only ask because it's not really my place. Sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah. Incidentally, Flitty is currently hugging for his head. Boomf. And very, very, very quietly, so Draconic, I thought you were very brave.
Alright. So, right. In a shell nut, my mom, the knife-eared bitch, is the one we're gonna have to deal with. Directly. Entirely. Because ambassador things.
And that's when it will clue in. And that's when it will clue into Ava that must be that woman.
Oh! Oh, that makes so much sense. I think I actually saw your mother as a kid.
Well, when you were a kid, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Holy crap. Okay, so that's a thing, I guess.
That's one way to put it, yes. Again, sorry, Hazel, didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
I mean, are you okay with that?
Kind of have to be. Sorry, Hazel, I didn't mean to answer for you again.
That's entirely fine.
I just give her a look.
Not exactly like we have options.
I suppose not.
Flitty sort of
probably spend
glances.
most of the time hiding behind one of you two.
At which point, Flitty, reading the mood of the room, balances a little towards the back of Ursa's head, spreads his wings, and goes, "Look, we have a second Hazel."
Flitty, if you were bigger, I would hug you right now, but you're a little too big for that. So instead, I will simply express the sentiment. And I'll simply just hug Hazel hard again. Or
No.
assuming I have actually let go, I don't think I did. Anyway.
And then boops first on the forehead a bit. I'm gonna go and try and join in on the hug by hugging Hazel's neck. And crawls up, sort of wedges between the arm and Hazel's neck, and just, I'm getting hugs.
Scritchy, 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 scritch.
I'll just make a little room.
It's been a while since I've properly seen fairy dragons. We don't really have the wheat. There's not much appeal in wheat for fairy dragons, I don't think. And turns around to Flitty and in Sylvan. You don't like wheat, do you? Not unless it's ground into flour and turned into cookies.
Okay, judging from the look on Flitty's face, let me guess, cookies were mentioned.
You're not wearing the helm?
Oh, right.
You forgot about it. You've never taken that off, and now you've forgotten about it.
You
so-
briefly forgot about that.
Yep, I'm so used to just wear it to having it.
I'm fairly sure we still have some. We're going to be sending a terrible with Molly, but I'm sure we can spare a few for a sporting young fairy dragon.
That reminds me, I need to talk to Molly before we send her on her way tomorrow.
More scritches!
I have, let's put it this way. Having met her and seen some of her work, I have a feeling she's going to do amazing things. And this may be a bit odd, but I kind of want her autograph. I have a feeling she's going to be very well known in future. I have faith in her.
I'm sure she'll be delighted. She will be coming in for dinner, I'm sure. We will be insisting upon it. I mean, we may actually have to sit you all in the sitting room, because this is our last family
Of course,
that's
of
fine.
course,
dinner
of course,
together. So,
of course. Well, and she'll visit. Not easily, given the distance, but
well, perhaps you all will make the rulership of Baronsphere somewhat less insular, and they might actually install something that might make it easier.
We will
That-
manually remove the stupid.
that is the hope, yes.
Mm.
And that is that's certainly a way to put it, Hazel.
On the subject of manual things, I couldn't help but notice that your dwarven sister was looking for means to make a rapier.
And just
Yeah,
kind
with
of going
one
to
eye for Ava.
swivel in Ava's direction.
I'm like, I don't know.
Young Wiswin was quite concerned that you wanted something for closer quarters and was trying to scrape up enough steel to be able to make one with Molly's forge. Unfortunately, all they had was young Hazel's chainmail, and it would take too long to melt down.
And I think Molly was slightly concerned about doing something, I think, so large in her facility. There was some question as to whether or not that was feasible.
Oh,
if I recall.
There was, but I think it had been decided that it might be if there was steel easier to melt down. Molly largely works in iron because she doesn't have the facilities to blend alloys that way. However, the reason that I bring it up, gets up, goes to a study, comes out with a somewhat scarred, very old looking wooden box and sets it down on the table in front of Ava.
Goes up, open it.
I mean, it's a very slender fencing sword. It looks it looks more like gold than steel, but it doesn't gleam right for gold. So It doesn't even look like it's gilded. It's just dyed steel. The cup for the hand is, and it largely looks like leaves, flowers that are cut in very tiny, gemstone petals and little gemstone birds. I don't know how the balance is going to be. You're going to have to try it out, but
I couldn't possibly. This must be a. I mean, must be. You must have had it for a long time.
that's not my life anymore.
Are you sure?
If I need to defend myself, I have means that are more appropriate to the life that I have chosen.
Thank you so much. It's beautiful.
Do take it and see if the balance is right.
Yeah.
When she picks it up and holds it, there's a very faint, as she moves it through the air, there's a very faint chiming sound.
You hear that?
Lean.
And he's just smiling. Give it a proper swing.
Step back a bit.
Yeah. As she does, it chimes in very faintly birdsong.
What is that? An enchantment?
If you need it to, once per day. It's not very powerful enchantment on it, but once per day, if you hold it aloft and need light, whistle at it. Basically, you can cast light on the blade once per day.
That's cool. That was out of character.
Yes. No, whistle at it. And it lights up.
Wow.
Helpful for when you can't fumble for a torch.
Definitely. How long does it last?
About an hour. Or until you whistle at it again. It wouldn't be very much good if you couldn't stop it when you needed to. But certainly helpful if you're having to fight in dark places.
Good point.
Yeah, there was a few debacles with that and Darwin.
I used to I used to patrol the local Underdark.
Funny enough, it involved that too.
This does not surprise me. The Underdark is somewhat terrifying. At which point Melissa says, "If everybody wants to put their fancy toys away, dinner."
In a way, very.
And
respectfully.
Darwin has seen waitresses in taverns, and Melissa puts them all to shame with the 5 plates just balanced and just setting them down on various surfaces near you guys.
Just looks very impressed and doesn't really say much. Just, wow, okay.
At which point, the gentleman of the house is just young fairy dragon. I understand you'll be sharing everyone's dinner. Would you mind calling in their friend and my daughter so that everyone can get plates? Oh, you said only for. Oh, I'm going to have to get one for. Actually, you could probably leave Rizwin. She looks like one of those people who gets really caught up in projects. I'll go bring her a plate and get Molly at the same time. You, little fairy dragon, stay where it's warm. I wonder if I have time to knit you a scarf. Near. Lady's gonna knit me things.
I think you would look rather dashing.
I got a lot of neck for something my size.
Well, you'll need a, well, lot of
Either
scarf,
very
but
long or very thick or very wide.
I think it's...
wonder if I can get mittens.
A dragon with mittens, that would be adorable.
And eventually Molly comes pottering in and just sort of random pats on shoulders for everybody. And then to Hazel, I like your sister. She's still working.
Oh boy.
She had ideas about little jewelry charms with little bits of really tiny bits of clockwork, so that you can get like owls that flap their wings and things. And I need to go and actually have dinner because I could talk all day. But I'm gonna go back out when I'm done dinner. And she's gonna eat in there because she had an idea she really wanted to do the thing with, and she's happy everybody stop yelling. Smeagol, you froze.
Yep, there we
Yeah,
go.
for me,
There we go.
everyone blipped out briefly.
Yep, that's
And you
what-
froze again.
There we
Okay,
go.
there you go.
There.
You're moving now. It's like every time I look at you, you just okay. Can you please stop bouncing?
Yeah, thank you. Ow.
Yeah, Ethan and I both with headaches, so yeah.
That
Yes,
was some
dinner.
bad motion blur.
Yeah, dinner turns out to be stuffed breast of mutton and potatoes, various greens that some of you have not tried. Hazel recognizes boiled nettles. They're quite good if you have enough garlic. They have a bit more zing to them than the spinach that sometimes happens. But spinach is rich people food, and nettles are everywhere.
If I can sort of sidle relatively near Darwin's plate, I'm going to attempt to yoink a few extra bits of it.
For you guys, it looks kind of like spinach, but with a slightly browner tinge.
Yeah, and we're
Just
and Hazel and Darwin are sitting next to each other.
Yep.
I basically
Or-
haven't stopped hugging you since like everything.
Yeah, and while you're still hugging her, you just see this. You haven't even tried these, and she's already yoinking me. You don't even know what this is. It looks like spinach, but not.
You know, I was gonna try that.
take a bit, just shove it basically into his mouth as he's speaking.
Give me a dex save, Darvin.
Am I gonna get this in my eye, folks? Let's find out. 15.
15.
You managed to catch it in your mouth, although there's a little bit of a grate of the fork against your teeth.
Ow.
And yeah, there's a little bit of spinach when it's cooked as much as that looks like it would be if it were spinach. Is kind of there's a bitter to it. There's more sweet and juicy, for lack of a better term, and just some tartness to it that spinach doesn't have. You don't know what this is, but Hazel's just taken most of yours.
That was really good too. I mean, now I understand why you took so much, but hey.
At which point Melissa, who is still eavesdropping on you guys, just so you know, comes in with a bowl and a spoon, another serving on Darwin's plate.
Thank you
a
so
little bit of
much.
extra on Hazel's and goes back in.
Thank you so much. I have
You're not
just
even
learned.
gonna ask what it is. You're just.
I have just learned the lesson that if there's something on my plate that I like and I'm next to Hazel, eat it quick.
Yeah, Nye knows boiled nettles, but that was a little too country mouse for the two nobles among you, and it was too cold where Furseth used to live for anything like. I mean, there were some green things, but not this. So everybody's nomfing.
Yep.
Noomph, 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 noomph.
Many noms.
Yes. So
David
Sitting
talks
wait,
to the
I,
process every so often.
so what is this? I just realized it was. I got so caught up in how good it was, I completely
Yeah, yeah,
forgot to ask what it
sure.
was because it is very tasty.
Hazel, Nye.
Nye looks at Hazel. I don't know the common word for it.
Nettle.
It's those boiled.
That's all.
You have to grasp them very firmly when you pluck them, or you get stung.
Yeah, they don't just kick when you eat them. They kick a lot harder if you fall in a bush.
I know what nettles are.
And how many times have you done this? That tells me everything I need to know. Love you, Hazel.
So Ava's been glancing at Furseth, and Furseth, being perceptive as hell, will probably notice it. And he's getting to look back, apparently.
He'll look back, but he'll wait for her to.
That's why I stopped at getting the look. Because Furseth is a dragonborn of many looks. You guys are learning so much about dragon. You guys are you guys are experts in a very narrow field, you know.
Literate and Furseth reading.
No, dragonborn reading, but you guys are going to see so many ranges of expression on dragon faces and actually recognize them based on what you're seeing. Also, I do not care about the rules as written. Dragonborn have tails. It's cooler for the monk shit.
There is a lot more that one can do martial artsy if you could occasionally do the Godzilla talk to the tail mid jump kick.
It's you know, you can't do flurry of blows with it, but it's good for an unarmed attack, maybe.
It is an unarmed attack.
I mean, you could just kind of see, like goblin or gnoll or something, and then tail whap, wee, tail yeet.
It's like, go away.
Anyway, so yes, Ava and Furseth are exchanging look.
I want to do this in private, but maybe it's better for you all here.
We haven't done anything else in private.
Thank you for that. It's the most fun I've had all week.
I meant for a second private. What you said earlier about your fear for Skylar and Faraday. I just think all of us owe you an apology for not realizing that, sort of, because of course that would be on your mind. And I feel like maybe we're always mucking about, and I feel maybe we don't take you into account enough. Sorry about that.
It's really. You don't have anything to be really sorry for there. You asked how I was doing as far as they're concerned earlier. I didn't tell you everything. I didn't want it to be a worry.
And I'm not to speak out of turn, and I'm not trying to speak for anybody else. It's a concern. Yes, certainly. But, I mean, it just does go back to what I had said before, where, we have to keep in mind it's not just us on the line. It's not just our immediate families on the line. It's literally everything. So, any miscommunication or rifts or what have you amongst us against that amounts to, well, not to put, oh wait, okay, let me rephrase. Amounts to much of nothing. You know, I mean, so it's not a worry. It, well, It is, but again, scale, scope, perspective,
So
for lack of a
from
better
from
per,
words.
from the spot in front of Fursa's plate, you can definitely going scale.
like perspective is everything. Like it's been a constant worry for me since leaving, but it's I don't know how to word this. I mentioned it there because it puts more weight on the situation. It like there the world ending is of course the biggest thing, but personal things will tug all the harder. And we can't hold grudges with each other right now. We can't afford for it to affect how we act at any time.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and to be fair, the personal shit, hell, I should know. Oftentimes, the personal connections can inspire more than the overall big, task at hand. You're right on that score as well. So it's I guess it's finding that balance between being concerned about the personal and being and then bearing in mind the actual end goal.
Flitty does pipe up at that point and going, but there does also have to sometimes be silly, if it's the right kind of silly, because your lady always said that it was good for morale when it was the right kind of silly. So you just have to learn what kinds of silly are right for the whole group and not just for the person doing the silly.
For those of you that may not have understood that, basically it was there also is room for silly, but it just has to be the right kind and fit with everybody, not just whomever's being the utter goofball, which is I say this as someone who is
Don't say it! Nope. 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 No talking down about yourself right now. Nope. 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 And it's actually flying up to lean in his face. Nope.
okay, okay,
Nope.
okay, okay. I won't say that. I won't say the thing. Flitty is not letting me be a bit down on myself right there, so I'm not going to. But I think you got what I meant.
Except he didn't, because he's usually a pretty good kind of goofball. It's when he's made of stupid that's the problem, not goofball.
Fair
There's
enough.
a difference.
Fair enough. Please don't nip my
Oh no,
nose.
he's actually now on top of your head
Oh, okay.
and just leaning out to the rest of the table in this sort of I am speechifying the tiny fairy dragon.
Flitty is saying it's only when I'm made of stupid that is the big issue, not when I'm a goofball. So fair point to Flitty. I love the fairy dragon.
Tremendous.
I'm not translating that. Froseth, you know what it was, and for the rest of you, some of these are just for me.
If that was draconic, I heard it too.
She does speak Draconic, you know.
Oh, bloody hell.
And to be fair, it's a name.
It's a yeah.
Fair.
And then flies over to Fursa's plate again and just looks for something to nomf. Nomf. And sort of babbles over to Nye. Hello.
Hi, Flitty.
I'm just gonna sit right here.
Okay.
If I'm within reaching distance, I'll give you a
Scritch, 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 scritch.
I think you need somebody more snoogly. I'm gonna stick around with you from now on. You need to connect with somebody squishy like. And it's probably hard if you haven't been around people very much, I know, because first it used to be like that. This is Sylvan, by the way, because it's with. So he's doing okay. He's doing better now. He's opening up to people, and maybe I helped a little bit with that. So if I did, that would be really nice. But it doesn't matter if I did or I didn't, because what's important is that he has, and you haven't so much. So now I'm gonna stick around with you in case I am either helpful or just lucky. And then just sort of rests on his, like he always did with Rosa, just curls up around his neck, and leans over, and Draconic goes, I still like you very, very much. I just think he needs me right now. Snuggle. Oh yes, you have a fairy dragon around.
Terrence is grinning. Just like this. Just...
Okay, so yeah, that is a thing that happened.
Do we want to? Hazel, you can send messages. I think. No.
Sending stone.
Right.
Yeah, the sending
There's the stone.
but we have
You
Which we don't
do,
have.
you do, however, if I recall correctly, didn't we level you up a while ago? And you did have a spell. Remember your
Eh.
shiny 4th level?
Yeah, there. I can do something similar.
It's in no way similar. It doesn't give a message at all. It just lets you know what's going on. Maybe.
But it's similar in a way that it gets us things that we need to be knowing, less exactly asking people.
Like scrying, you mean?
You know what? I should just probably try it and demonstrate.
What? Because what I was
do you
thinking
need to be
was,
standing back or something?
well,
Just need some space for prayer things.
if you're going to do that once, don't do it right yet, because I was just thinking, do we want to check in on the others to make sure they're doing all right, or do we think that's intrusive?
I mean, when we open the door, we're gonna see him.
I
I
mean,
didn't mean them.
Oh, she. Wait, okay, who is Ava talking about? No, Hazel.
I meant I was saying.
That's what I thought you meant.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't quite clear enough.
Sometimes proper nouns are dreadfully underrated. But yes, Hazel is still apparently quite certain that she can check up on them.
But if it's scrying, doesn't it feel like sighing a bit?
It's not scrying.
What is it then?
It's hard to explain.
Technically, given Hazel, I think the best way of wording it is asking my god for an update.
Hmm.
I'm basically going to. It would be like dialing someone up on the sending stone, just not through a sending stone, but through the divine gates.
Oh.
so
Not
you're
quite.
I'm asking my god for help.
Okay. That makes sense.
Oh boy.
Basically, what your power comes from.
So I'm going to once and once I have a bit of a moment and some time, I'm going to start setting up the ritual for divin. I'm going to start setting up the whole
As
kit
long
and
as
caboodle
everyone's
for
okay with
divination.
it. Because if anyone has objections,
I
Wait.
can't imagine any of us would have objections to checking up on, Remy and Alice. I mean, we're checking up on family.
Apparently you need something worth at least 25 gold and some incense. And that's the bit that I think Ava was asking to check to make sure everyone's okay, because you're burning incense in the house.
well, I actually meant if everyone agreed to the idea,
Ah.
yes. That is important to check as well.
Well, does it matter? It's Hazel's ability, and the people would who would really mind one way or another aren't in a position to say whether or not they mind, because if they were here, we wouldn't need to do it in the first place. Why are you telling Hazel how to use her spells?
Trying to I'm just digging through the assortment of the old acolytes kit I've got, trying to see if I still even have the incense.
I'm going to assume that you still have the incense.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
more it's more the sacrificial offering that
Yeah.
we're gonna need to decide on.
Okay, now as to the other part of this work. And I'm gonna dig through the
And you probably still got some jewelry pieces or
where dig. Going to yeah, I'm actually gonna pull one of the words. I'm pulling out one of the ice bolts. This
Okay.
might work. And that's going into the spell.
Okay, so you see Hazel set up the little ritual, which is basically just one of her ice bolts and a little censer of incense, and Melissa's just, we'll hold dessert, shall we?
Thank you.
And prayer and meditation happens. What is the question that Hazel is asking?
Are Remy and Alice all right?
Is that really all you want to ask? Because the wording is you ask a single question concerning a specific goal, event, or activity to occur within 7 days.
Better question. Will Remy and Alice be returning?
I'm trying to think of the best way to. One of the windows bangs open, letting in a gust of snowy wind, and rattling the delicate little saber perched on the nearby windowsill. The snow dies down a second later. Hazel knows these things come in omens. In this case, what it likely means is Remy's certainly coming back. Alice will be back, but whether she stays is unclear right now.
Hmm.
Although a moment later, given this, I mean, it's an instantaneous spell. I think I can probably give you this much. Gust of wind gusts a little stronger, and fluttering the curtains, which are quite pale shade, and from whom they do look quite white. And the snow picks up again. Could someone shut that, please? It's getting a little cold.
Got it.
I'm just middled in. I'm just like staring at the half a second I spotted.
Yeah. So for Hazel, Remy definitely. Alice probably.
I go.
Did you
Did you
just?
just slap her?
Yeah, she was laughing maniacally.
Okay, yeah. Can you give me an attack roll for?
Oh Lord.
That's straight up strength, if memory serves.
I'm not trying
Unarmed,
to hurt
yep.
her.
Well,
No,
yeah,
but
you're not, but that's just
you're
how
trying
it's
to
do to
hit
get her
her.
attention.
But you're trying to hit her.
Whoa, nat 20.
Wham!
I'm going natural 20 on that.
That's 2d4.
Oh,
Do you want to roll it or shall I? I will. Shall I?
yes.
You're laughing far too hard to even type at this point. You poor thing. Don't worry. For once, my dice rolled low. That's only 3 points of bludgeoning damage, and Hazel falls over from her kneeling position with the mark of Ava's hand,
Just
first white and then bright red. And that's gonna bruise.
I did not mean to hit the hub. Sorry. You were scaring me.
I mean, panic is a hell of a thing. Hazel, are you all right?
I'm okay.
What?
At which point you have Melissa just going, terribly sorry, but we do have a rule about hitting in this house. You're going to have to go and stand in the corner for 2 minutes.
Ava just looks at her like, what? She's a grown adult, for God's sake.
Ava,
Hey.
we are in their house.
Fine.
Oh God.
I'm not a bloody child.
Guess
You're not that much older than our daughter. Setting an example.
What are you on?
Yeah, there's Ava standing in the corner like something out of the Blair Witch Project.
Thank you, Ava. We have to set a good example for Molly. And for us, frankly.
I suppose.
Well, hey, I made Froseth laugh.
So, okay. with with what I asked. Well, good news. We've got a definite yes on a Remy,
What do you mean?
as in terms of Remy coming back.
So, what did you ask?
I asked, are Remy and Alice returning?
Oh, okay.
I got a definite yes on Remy and a probably yes on Alice.
I don't know if I'll know.
And a high probably.
I'm sure at least somebody is wondering if that had anything to do with the bullshit with the window.
And I'm like, oh, I'm just sort of gesturing at the window at this point.
Ah.
That was you.
That wasn't me. That
Well,
was
I mean,
Paylor.
That was the response, Ava. So yeah. Symbols and things and such. I'm assuming that's how that works, because it seems like that's kind of how a few of them work. Remembering the dream, and
We walk in the sun, and therefore
Yes.
all is.
Speaking of, given that you've taken the coat off, you are now seeing that goes pretty far down.
oh dear.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh right. Yeah. You didn't. Oh, yeah. Well, here.
You started turning colors.
Uh huh.
Drop. I'm like I'm gonna go examine him.
And if you push up the sleeve, it's all the way up. It's somewhere in and among the scales and the scale tattoos and the general celestial-ish kinds of patterns on them. You do see what appears to be a fairly stylized dragon, all done in a white that's not quite metallic, not quite silver, closest to platinum.
I'm going to pull out a platinum piece.
It's as close as you can get on skin, put it that way.
I'm just prodding him with the platinum piece at this point.
I need that skin.
Hazel, Ava, your 2 minutes are as is indicated by Melissa coming out with what is apparently an entire. It's a vanilla cake from the looks of it. Lots of whipped cream and the last of the strawberries.
Ooh.
And some jam somewhere in the middle layer. I figure there's enough of you that you'll make short work of it. Adventurers and teenagers, and some of you are both. So
Hazel.
yeah, your mom makes this thing a lot.
Like, I'm clearly salivating right now.
Well, at least it's got her off Darvin's arm.
Like, they're just hypnotized, just sort of slowly moving in the cake direction.
Thankfully, it's cut up and ready for you guys to serve up. If you get there before Hazel devours the whole thing.
Yoink! Grabbing mine.
Like, near on grog levels of almost like getting to the point where I'm like just shy of free dripping saliva like grog.
Oh gosh.
Just the expression is.
Eventually, everybody gets cake, and there's Darvin still with his sleeve up, showing this.
Someone sparkly.
And as he looks up, there's this warm feeling spreading out from around about where the heart is, spreading almost like wings.
Darvin is calmer than he's been in a while.
Interesting levels of zen.
More certain. Sure.
I'm going to take my chunk of cake and sort of look out the window, see if that track I wore into the snow is.
It's starting to fill up. The snow is getting pretty heavy.
Ooh,
Well,
that's
the
a
only.
lot of snow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we know Alice is going to be fine. Remy, well,
Remy
Remy.
has Alice.
Exactly. Assuming Remy caught up with Alice, Remy will be just fine. And even if, for whatever reason, they haven't quite caught up with each other yet, I'm sure Remy's dealt with worse weather.
Well, and Hazel's like, my God said she'd be back. She can't be back. She can't go back if she's dead.
Well,
I
I'm
guess
just, you know,
Let Hazel actually answer
sorry.
the thing.
Darwin. What was the answer I got?
You're muted.
You
Yes.
literally just sat on the thing again.
Yes, I know, but I worry about everyone's safety. Even if divine assurance says I don't need to, I'm still going to. No offense is meant. It's just I care.
We know. You'll get used to the whole yeah, well, you're still getting used to the whole have
You
faith
froze.
thing.
Crap.
What position am I frozen in?
You're not frozen anymore, thankfully, but you froze mid-sentence.
You're still
You'll
getting
get used to the whole.
to the whole having faith thing. You'll get there. You'll get there. You'll definitely get there.
I mean, I don't.
You're certainly part of the way there. I'm going to pull up the platinum piece and prod it a couple more times.
Well, at least it's a coin. Could be worse.
Though that is a lot of money to be using for a joke.
I could always use the hammer.
There's no platinum on the hammer. That probably from Flitty. I thought it was a comparison. There's no platinum on the hammer.
Yeah, and no using weapons on each other. Okay. Remember what happened back in the day with the sparring?
And that was just hitting. Sometimes accidents happen and too much boomph. Given that both times it was the person, because way back at when that whole sparring thing was because Frozen rolled a nat 20 on an attack roll.
Yep. That's why I brought it up.
And knocked our paladin straight out.
One hit KO.
They were only level 2 or something.
Yeah, we were low level at the time.
Yep, and I've never forgotten it.
I'm reminded of a story that I will tell you all later.
So, God, I'm envious. I'm just sorry. I'm thinking about Molly and just remembering our experience when we were first there and just how,
She's gonna love it.
yeah, just how astounding everything was. We're going to have to make sure to tell her to look up a lot. Because and just. Wait, do you guys remember what was the name of the place that we stayed at?
The Riddler's
What
stump.
was the name?
Yes.
The Riddler's stump.
Right.
I wonder. I'm immediately recalling that place they told us about that was all like experimental music and drinks and things. It was all run by the university. And force of noise and gadgetry and things. She's not far off my age.
God, there's so many people. There's so many people. I hope she gets a chance to meet.
Yeah.
Couldn't you write a list?
Oh, I'm
Oh,
trying to
yes.
figure out what to write on the list.
Well, and wait, she's going to Egriff. That was Belarus. Okay, never mind.
There's a train. She'll get
Ye-
days off.
If she ever makes it to Belarus, we should have her look in on Clarity.
Well, it would be Belarus first, wouldn't it?
No, because
Mm-mm.
Egref is.
Oh,
lower.
right, because we're teleporting.
And
things.
even then, Egref would stop. Basically, it's Gray's Inn, mountains, Egref.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you guys had to go through Egref to get to Belarus, and that's where you stopped for your first Mickey D&D's breakfast.
Oh, right. There we go.
And
We're
Clarity did.
And Clarity
Rumor
did.
to end all
We seduced
rumor.
a lot of people to get here natural 20 on a deception.
Yes.
Oh, God, I miss her for that alone.
That was just, I mean, you want mischief. I mean, her with that, and then with the being the hype person when
For Darwin, for
Darwin
me,
was.
yeah, that was amazing.
Did that roll nearly as well? I don't think it
That-
did.
That was a good roll, but it
It's like
wasn't. I think
No, it was an 18, I think, or 17.
something like that.
Yeah, it was insanely
High
high.
teen, but
But yes, no, she could look in on Clarity. I think they would get along famously.
They'd get along very good.
Probably want to keep her away from the place with the crazy robot type things.
Oh yeah, the tea trays.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Sweetwater's needs more visitors.
That one does not.
Well,
They're
I mean,
They're
Molly's pretty sensible.
siblings.
maybe she could direct Allie's weirdness
Yes.
into a force for good.
Thank you, Felicity. That is exactly what I was about to say. I was trying to say, Molly is very sensible, so
True.
might be a directing.
Turn the small and fuzzy
Influence.
army into a small and fuzzy army that doesn't jump at random people.
And blow up. Although, Allie getting a hold of those centipedes. Whew. Maybe not. I don't think we need
Oh,
tea
God,
trays with more
you-
legs.
Did anybody ever cure wounds you after that? I don't think they did.
No, Ava did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah, Ava
Yeah,
did.
even did.
Ava did
Yeah,
and rolled, well, Max.
It got most of it, if memory serves, because those things do damage.
Yeah. Actually, no, that did. She got me. I remember it distinctly. It was 1 point above max,
Okay.
above full,
Okay,
when
well-
all was said and done. So yeah, no, that was. I remember. I remember because I had to tick down my hit points and then tick them right back up.
Well, shit happens, but
Yep. But yeah, no, I'm just
and
Darwin.
Flitty has found somebody's bag and is trying to drag a piece of paper out of it.
Oh dear. Hang on, Flitty, let me get that. Here, let's start writing down like places she should go and people she should see. Regardless, like in either Egref or Belarus, because yeah, Belarus is not that far.
Given Egref, there was the place run by the Rakdos people. We should leave that off the list for now.
Mm-hmm.
For now.
Yeah.
And yeah, Furseth is probably making that face.
Okay.
Wow. I mean, she basically gets to go to all the places I kind of wanted to, but we didn't have time for.
Well,
I
yes,
still have
that
to
too.
go there.
Well, you Flitty, we do have to go back because phylactery.
Yep.
Let's see.
One zombie dragon.
You say that so cheerfully. They taste awful.
Yeah, well,
Let's see.
this
there
time,
was,
the next time we get our mitts on him,
He's still gonna taste awful.
Flitty's right.
Well, we can get some help cooking him with the eldritch powers of our resident warlock.
Which one? We now have two.
That one. And I'm pointing at the
The one attempting to hide in his own shirt.
I mean, he basically would have hit it. It just the holes got in just the right alignment there. Next time he's gonna get
Fired
cooked.
at the ceiling.
The ceiling jumped in the way.
Too many holes in that
Oh.
thing.
No, you see, the second one would have hit if he'd had, like, meat.
Yes.
The first one was a warning shot because the Elfie man likes to play fair.
Just run with it. Just run with it.
We'll turn you into. Well,
Tell you
you'll
what.
honor Barreras properly yet.
Tell you what. When we can, we'll take you out for target practice. You'll be practicing. Sorry. Let me specify.
That's practice targeting, not practice being targeted.
Oh, you could learn how to duck.
And we could work on the.
Please, I've already learned how to.
Dodge.
I was suddenly imagining the Elfie man as a duck.
I was remembering the other time I got turned into a bird.
The sandpaper or a different one?
Yes, I've already learned how to sandpiper. Now I can learn how to duck.
There you go.
Ooh, is there magic that can let you literally duck?
It's called polymorph.
Yeah.
I'm too green to do that yet.
Yeah. Well, we could potentially work on. Nah, never mind. That's too much of a risk. I was just thinking because being able to misty step quicker or under duress.
Well, I do have a thing where if I get hit,
Nope.
I can.
Nope.
Not bad idea.
Bad idea.
You
That doesn't work
way
no.
too easily for that.
Couldn't you
But-
use snowballs?
Yes, we can do that. Snowball fight. I'm already out the door.
Snowball.
I've run out of the snowball fight.
Oh my god.
Roseth will go join that.
David, Dalvin have had snowball fights as kids, do you think?
Maybe one. You guys didn't spend your entire childhood together, but
Yeah, no, but and there were once in a blue moon, Darwin got taken with mom on something, and where there was enough snow and.
I'm going to wait until they've gotten outside, follow them, and then attempt to make a snow fort by running.
Ah!
Don't they know a snow trench?
Basically.
well, is it? She's digging a snow trench, and you guys see Molly run into her little shed and wheel out this thing, which turns out to be a trebuchet.
God.
No fair. She brought siege weaponry.
We'll get. Darwin just picks up just makes a couple of snowballs. We'll give her both guns. Nyah!
You giant yeet machine, what are you doing?
I'm having some freaking fun, damn it.
Yeah, you do find that a snow wall forms, and you've got the elderly gentleman in the house leaning out the window, going, "I'm just observing this."
I'm going to probably be running around, click the boots of haste, and go faster.
Oh, good God.
So she's just running back and forth, building a trench. And meanwhile, the trebuchet is now loaded, and I would like Nye, Ava, and Froseth to make me dex saving throws.
17.
Wow.
20.
Nice.
See, you have a.
Yeah, so Froseth takes no damage. Ava manages to get out of the way entirely. Nye takes 4 points of bludgeoning damage as he is half buried under. No, because this is
Wait.
Oh.
trebuchet.
This is a full-size trebuchet.
Pretty
Not
much.
yeah.
It's an entire. It's basically a. I looked at a wheelbarrow load that just got launched at us.
Yeah, I was picturing the tabletop one I used to have.
No,
Iron
no.
plate.
No, she had to
Yeah,
wheel this out, dude.
Yeah, pretty much. And Nye is the only one who actually takes any kind of damage from it. Froseth is just. This is actually kind of fun, and reminds him of the stories Faraday was telling him about the kinds of things she grew up doing.
Darn it! I'm probably gonna lose, but I'm gonna have fun doing it.
Say something. Is that because Froseth rolled lower though? Is that?
Well,
They
silver dragonborn.
He's
Froseth
still-
just stood there through it.
Yes, it's okay. Let me explain for Marion. It was an AOE.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't magical, but it was still an AOE.
Right.
You missed it. You got missed entirely. You were standing on the periphery. Froseth was kind of off to one edge of it and would have taken half damage, but he has evasion, and honestly, it's snow and he's a silver dragonborn. What
So
the
that
fuck
position
does
is
he
not-
care?
Yeah.
Nye got clipped a bit.
Pick up a ball and.
Okay, anybody who's throwing snowballs, what I'll do, we're getting to that time, is everybody who's throwing snowballs make me a straight up, I guess, what do we do for improvised ranged weapons?
Pure guess
Fuck it,
dexterity.
Yeah, plain old dex unless you have something else you want to do.
I'm just tossing balls. So.
Yeah, I'm just chucking stuff. I don't care. I'm having fun.
Froseth will just go in like middle of the field.
11.
13.
Try catching some to throw them back.
Oh, that rule of cool, yeah, that's
Yeah,
brilliant.
I was gonna ask for disadvantage, but your target's gonna be quite high, but I'm still giving it to you straight because rule.
Basically thinking off working the deflect missiles I have to catch projectiles anyway.
That's
Oh!
Oh no!
good. Yeah.
Good school membership.
And is that everybody who's lobbing stuff?
I
Yeah,
think-
I'm still running until my boots run out of charge, and then I'm face planting.
Okay. So Froseth is coming out the clear winner of all this, right up until the sky seems somewhat brighter, and there is a very familiar voice screaming, "Death from above!" And you get a snowball the approximate size of a bowling ball dropped directly on your head, and frankly, because cool of cool and because you've been winning, I'm just letting that happen. So it really is death from above. You look up and splat. So there's Alice A, covered in blood, most of which is not hers, you think. And Remy's sort of off to the side watching this is sort of a kind of
I'm probably like sprawled on my back on the like snowballs, like, just like
Where did you say they were? On the roof? Or-
no, she's winged.
yeah, she's
She's
flying.
She's got the wing. She got the wing tattoo.
Yeah, I'm just
The second she lands, I'm just gonna let her go.
I'm gonna stain your coat, so I'm gonna have to prestidigitate for days.
I
From my face down position in the snow.
where you're probably steaming.
Sorry, dude, but you had to get hit by at least one.
Oh, that's fair.
Well, you guys were mucking around. We cleared out ice drakes. There was a nest.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh, good. At least that means no one will get jumped, or us again.
Hmm.
It's like the horse was. It's like they decided the horse was bait or lunch or something.
'Tis the season.
Ew.
Well, you know, I'm kind of used to those things. You don't normally find them as far south, but since they're here, I figured there had to be more than just one.
Here's a question: did you ever eat one?
Bits of one.
How'd they taste?
Meat's way too stringy. Liver's good.
Does the burn legend do anything for the meat?
No, it's still too stringy. You have to boil it. You'd have to boil it for a few hours to make it even remotely chewable. But like I say, the liver's good.
Ooh.
Fried up with a bit of burn lichen and frost onion for breakfasts.
Frost onion.
They actually have frost onions down in that kind of area. Not many, and they're looking kind of scrawny. I guess you don't have enough winter for that, but
Hey,
holds up bluish white onion bulbs.
Remy,
What the-
Remy, Alice say we saved you some of the there was some left.
There is food.
Thank you from Remy of the
Welcome
corner.
home.
Breakfast? I'm gonna send off. Hey, Molly. Yes. Also, how do you do the wings, please? These are my tattoo ones. If you ever get to Belarus, go to a place called Arcane Ink. I bet you would have interesting ideas on how to speed up their tattoo doing. But, two things. Number one, how do you feel about, starting your adventure off first thing in the morning where I cook your family breakfast as thanks for the hospitality? It will be ice drake liver and eggs if they have them. Looks at the window. Yes, all right. It's been quite some while since I've had exotic food. And my dear wife can sleep in for once in her life. I'm not good at that! You will learn, darling, you will learn. Secondly, look here, and puts a coin pouch in her hands. There's going to be a lot of stuff for you to see and do, and I don't know what internships pay, but and they'll be handling your room, and you'll probably get a little bit of pocket money, but given the shinies in that place, it's not going to be enough. So I figured that the best way to thank your parents for the hospitality beyond breakfast was give you a little something to help you enjoy everything that place has to offer. Please don't hug me. I am covered in ice drake blood.
We already had one person stained for the rest of their life.
I'll hug you in the morning. Okay. Here. I mean, if anybody else wants to chip in with that, that's up to them. But I just thought, I know what it is to be sent out young.
I would
And
I have a plan.
Yeah, I'm.
I have a plan.
Why am I worried?
This feels like one of those heavily exuberant enthusiasm plans that only really scary if you have issues with highly demonstrative people.
True.
It'll go with the list.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, we're putting together a list of places to see and people to meet and things to do, both in Agraf and in Belarus.
I'll wait till you guys are finished with it and then add, and I'm sure Remy can add a few as well, given she spent more time in Belarus than I did, and it's only a day trip.
Exactly.
I'm not sure that
Do it.
some of the places I used to hang around in.
What? Not even home?
And Rizwin can help with the bits in Egref when she. Where is she anyway?
Still working.
Still in the shed.
Did get taken some food.
Okay, that's good.
Also, look, I made a trench. I'm still kind of sitting in it. Oh, and that indent in the snow around the house, that was also me.
We'll
How
talk.
deep is the trench?
It's good to be back.
Good to have you back.
I'm gonna, like, prestidigitate and find some clothes that aren't quite so shredded before I can mend these. And
Okay, you need healing?
Remy handled some of it. I handled some of the rest of it, and the rest of it, nothing. A good night's sleep couldn't cure. There was singing. There was various insulting of the parentage of various ice drakes, and then a grand finale of an awful lot of screaming. But dead ice drakes.
And
Go.
Breakfast!
Go in. You're all kind of
oh, jeez.
sogified and
Yeah, we're gonna be. I'm
with
gonna
the-
be glinging for a minute.
and apart from Froseth, I imagine you're all gonna start getting real cold right about now because
Just a
I mean
bit.
you're. What happened to your tattoo?
Oh,
You're not
We'll
sure?
talk about that when we're all cleaned up.
yeah.
That looks like a thing. Also, we are at about that time, so. Yep.
Yep.
I will probably handle the exact nature of the ice drake hunting one-on-one with Noms over the next 2 weeks. Yes.
Nye makes a point of catching Alice's eye and just says,
But- I was gonna handle that because we're running late, and I have work in the morning, and it might get involved. I'm not trying to push you out. It's just I really need to start winding down, and for Marion, it's an hour.
I just.
I also kind of wanted to leave it on a sunny, shiny, hopeful note instead of something that's gonna. Hang on, we'll handle it in the new year. But thank you. I'm sure she will say something to that effect in 2 weeks' time. Until then, I hope that you all have a fantastic holiday season, and I will see you all next year.
Wow.
More or less.
Yeah.
Happy solstice celebrations.
Later, guys.
Good night, everybody.